We're continuing our weekly walk through the fruit of the Spirit, these 9 qualities which the Holy Spirit nurtures and brings out of us on our faith journey. And although it's not an exhaustive list of every characteristic that could be seen as positive in our relationship with God, these 9, they do make for a pretty splendid set, I think. Indeed, the list makes, for me, a really helpful list of prompts, perhaps, for our prayer lives. So we can, for example, slowly take each quality in turn and ask God to grow it in our lives. And if you want to take these as sort of individual prompts at a time, it's a good idea, if we can, to learn them off by heart as well, so that we've always got them with us in our mind. So to be a little bit GCSE revision geeky kind of thing, the way I do it is to split them into 3 threes, because there's 9, so 3 threes go into it. And what I really like about splitting into 3s is that you got 3 one-syllable words, 3 two-syllable words, and 3 three-syllable words. So there's a rhythm to it. So love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. So that's one way that we might be able to learn them. You might come up with your own techniques. It doesn't make for the best of acronyms, that doesn't work, that one in this occasion, but see how you get on. But I commend maybe trying to commit those to memory for us. And I guess anything that we want to commit to memory, well, that can take time in life, time which requires of us a good dose of the fruit of the Spirit that we're going to look at today, which is patience. So we can define patience like this as the capacity to tolerate challenges or delays without getting upset. Now that means that patience is one of those qualities that only comes in response to something. We need to experience challenges or delays in order to be able to be patient. But how do we stop ourselves perhaps from getting restless or getting upset in the face of challenges and delays? Well, one of the more famous stories in the Gospels concerning patience involves this woman, a woman who has been suffering from bleeding for 12 long years. And we've looked at this story before, but it's such a rich little tale that we're going to look at it again briefly this morning. But suffice to say, this woman who's been suffering from bleeding for 12 years, she was facing all sorts of challenges in life. You can imagine the physical ones, anemia and exhaustion for sure, but also at the same time, the stigma and the ritual uncleanness that would have come from living with what we can assume was an issue with her menstrual cycle. And that would have made her unclean in the eyes of the people at the time. So she wouldn't have been able to engage with this kind of gathering, wouldn't be able to go to the temple, wouldn't have been able to worship or even be touched or touch other people without making them unclean. So there was a huge amount of stigma that came with her condition. But here's how her story is told in Luke's Gospel.
As Jesus was on his way, the crowds almost crushed him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." But Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know that power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not go unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace."
As I say, we've looked at this story before, but then there is lots in it. But the verse, particularly, that I want to focus on today is this one, in which we're told, in the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. She told why she touched Jesus. And I wonder what you think she said. We're not told exactly. So we won't know for sure, but my hunch is that she spoke about having never lost hope that one day in those long 12 years, or after those long 12 years, she would be healed by God. And I'd suggest that this sense of hope, holding on to hope, is significant when thinking about patience. You see, if we lack hope, if we think there's not much prospect of the challenges or delays we face being overcome, we're likely to lack patience because we're not quite sure what we're waiting for. There's no goal, perhaps, in mind. Whereas if we hold on to hope, if we do have faith that one day, whatever delays or challenges we're facing might be overcome, then that means we're more likely to tolerate those challenges without being overwhelmed by them. Indeed, I'd say we often need to know how a story ends in order to keep going through the painful parts of that story on the way. So how did this woman think that her story would end? Well, on one level, it seems that she never lost hope that God would indeed bring her healing, because even after 12 long years, she's still got a determination to push her way through the crowds and reach out to Jesus. The one who she believes, as we've seen before, has healing in his wings, in the hem of his garment. I think there's a lesson in there for us from her, in that being patient doesn't mean we're not staying alert for opportunities or pushing doors or seeking solutions to things. No, equally, patience doesn't mean that we don't get frustrated or challenge injustice or seek to transform society. For example, part of the healing process for her from Jesus, I'm sure, was at other times when he calls out the kind of religious and social exclusion that this poor woman would have felt simply because of her own medical condition. Patience doesn't stop us being proactive. Rather, patience helps us to persevere without losing hope. And yet, on another level, I suspect that even if this woman never managed to experience God's healing of her condition in this life, she still had hope, an eternal hope that one day, even if that meant waiting patiently for the world that is to come, she would know God's healing and wholeness once again. Now that may seem a bit of a cop-out, might seem sort of pie in the sky when you die, kind of fatalistic feeling. And I'd agree with that if death was the end, if there was no hope in God to eventually heal every ailment and wipe every tear from our eyes. But since we do have hope rooted in eternity, since we believe through Jesus that God's love for us will be expressed both in this world and the world to come, then our hope springs eternal. And eternal hope is the thing which I would say ultimately enables us to grow in patience. There's a verse in Romans which puts it like this. It says, if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait for it patiently. And so, I guess my prayer for us is that God would grow in us this fruit of patience. Patience rooted in proactive perseverance, but above all, patience that is rooted in the hope we have in our eternal, loving God. Now, one of the outworkings of patience is the encouragement from God to put our trust in him. And as I said, patience doesn't mean a lack of perseverance on our part, but it does mean we can find rest and reassurance from God for the journey ahead. And so with this in mind, we're just going to listen to a song today called Take It Easy. Not a classic by the Eagles on this occasion, rather a song by a group called the Porter's Gate, which for me speaks of the way in which we can patiently rest above all in God's hope-filled love. Now, I don't know if you know this song, but if you pick up the tune, if you don't know it, you're welcome to sing along. But I think my encouragement is that we would use the words in it as a prayer, perhaps, for each other.
Take it easy, easy. God already loves you completely. Take it easy, easy. Rest in the shade of His wings. Lay down your burdens and rest for a while. The shepherd who seeks you is gentle and kind. There's nothing to pay for and nothing to earn, nothing you have to become. Take it easy, easy. God already loves you completely. Take it easy, easy. Rest in the shade of His wings. Lay down the scales where you weigh out your life. The measures are empty, just leave them behind. The distance between His two hands are enough to tell you the depths of His love. Take it easy, easy. God already loves you completely. Take it easy, easy. Rest in the shade of His wings. God's on your side and He won't let you go. He already loves who you are. Won't ask you to be something more. Take it easy, easy. God already loves you completely. Take it easy, easy. Rest in the shade of His wings. Take it easy, easy. God already loves you completely. Take it easy, easy. Rest in the shade of His wings. Rest in the shade of His wings. Rest in the shade of His wings.